Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Bodacious Rant. I hope everybody had a lovely Halloween. You got some good scares. You got to get some candy. Maybe go rage it up a little bit. Wake up in some dorm room you don't even know where you're at in a different state. I don't know. I don't know what happens on Halloweens anymore. I got to see the Terrifier 2 with that weird white and black mime clown slasher. I'm sure some of you guys, I don't know if you've seen it, but good for you. If you like those movies, that's not for me. But we're not talking about that today. What we are talking about is our best friend in a galaxy far, far away, Andor, a.k.a. Andor, if you want to be enunciate it correctly. And we're at episode 9, so we're kind of entering the last, I would say, third-ish part of this season so far, because I think it's supposed to be 13 episodes, so we're getting close to it. Of course, this is a spoiler episode, so guys, as always, come on back after you watch the episode, and so we can dive into it and speculate all this good stuff. And as well, don't forget to give us a like, ring the bell, and of course, press subscribe, because we appreciate the following, guys, and we want to keep growing it. So yes, Burn, he has his ways of pressing subscribe. I just do like a bomb button. Just let's see what the so-called button does.
Just subscribe. What is this button?
Atomic core. Let's see what the so-called button does. Just fucking idiot. Anyways, oh man, I know I'm joking around a lot, but this episode I think was the heaviest one yet, and my God, this is easily one of the best shows too. Like, I know we had House of Dragon, Rings of Power, but Andor's really helping close the year off with some just fantastic entertainment. Yes, we see the prison sentence going on. Last episode, we kind of saw Andor, like, kind of getting accustomed to it, trying to figure stuff out. And this one, again, he's full on trying to make a rebellion of his own in there. I got a lot of Shawshank vibes. I don't know about you, Burn, but I was like, oh my God, this went from a heist show, a spy show, and now we're Shawshanking it. I love it, but it's still a spy show. I'm just saying, it just feels that way.
Yeah, this was very reminiscent of like prison movies, like you said, Shawshank, Green Mile, just any movie where it's like people are like in a prison and it's like, oh man, like are they gonna get out? Like is there gonna be a prison break or something? Like this is like the Star Wars version of that. And yeah, like it's funny that like you mentioned that, because yeah, like this even in this series, it's been Star Wars is sort of iterated on like the Western genre and like the samurai genre. I would say maybe like the first 3 episodes were kind of like a Western-ish, more like neo-noir like type of thing, and then the other 3 sets are obviously a heist episode, and it seems like these are very much like a prison / prison break. At least that feels what like it's leading to. So yeah, it's been really cool to see like Star Wars dip their toes in other genres outside of the usual 2 that they do.
Yeah, and I mean, I think when shows can really blend the genres seamlessly like this one has, that just goes to show the great writing and just how much we really enjoy it. Because there have been other things, I can't think off the top of my head what's blended genres, but it did not do well. That's just when it feels clunky, and you could definitely tell it's obvious that, oh, they went from this to this now. That doesn't make any fucking sense. But I really like that he's kind of already counting the guards. He's kind of keeping an eye on the way things operate there. And Andy Serkis' character, do we know his name or no? I mean, I don't know if I missed that.
Kino. Kino's his name.
It is Kino. Yeah, Kino, he's that one prisoner who's just kind of banking on the idea that, hey, we keep working, we keep doing it, we'll be out soon. He said he has like 600 shifts left. God forbid how many days that's left. And I like that he's just he has no intention of the rebellion. But then when we were talking about last week, I didn't realize it until you brought it up to me after the fact. But that one guy that's with Andor a lot this episode in prison, I didn't realize he was the same dude from Rogue One. He was one of the rebels that helps break out Jyn Erso and is there on the Battle of Scarif. So I was like, oh, you motherfucker. That's awesome. So it's like, okay, we're already seeing...
Melshi? I forgot, like, it's something like that. Melshi or something like that.
The character's name,
yeah.
Right? Or the actor?
No, the character's... I don't know the actor's name.
No, the character. I don't know who that guy is. Like, I could care less. Yeah, no, that's... I like that he's kind of there. He's kind of... you see in his face that he's trying to keep up with Andor, and he's kind of like feeling that fire of that rebellion inside that he wants to get out. Like when he goes to the bathroom and he's like trying to saw away at it to get. That's just where I really got the Shawshank vibe from, just kind of slowly grinding it, because he's been at it for God knows how long at this point. So I thought that was great. And again, just that whole prison part of the story was really the driving force of this episode. Given we did have, I guess before we get to the rest of the episode that really hit hard, I think the Bix part was pretty crazy too. I thought they were just going to question her, maybe slap her around a little bit, the typical torture interrogation stuff. But what that Dr. Gost or Grost or whatever that Nazi looking dude had, that like android headband thing with the headphones on, I was like, oh, this is not gonna go well.
Yeah, like the headphones that are apparently are playing like the sound of like a dying children or something like that. Like, it's just awful. It's like horrible, like way of torturing people. Like that's, again, like with this episode, we're seeing like the cruelty of the Empire. Like it's in full force right now, and that's just one of those moments where you're just like, Jesus. Like you saw that they broke the other guy that that was there last week's episode. When they were dragging him out, like in show in front of Bix. But now it's like, now we see Bix like going through it too, and it's just, we see by the end of it like she's broken too. Like this is just awful stuff.
Yeah, I was really sad that she got tossed into it. But again, that's just all creating the necessary need, like the need of the rebellion and why they had to stand up to the Empire. It's all just fueling that fire essentially. It just sucks that this is what Mon Mothma was talking about, just with Aldhani happening. This is the pain that's really being forced upon the rest of the galaxy. So Bix is a good example of that. The guys in the prison are a good example of that. And again, I kind of thought it was a little funny this time around, but the Cyril Karn, a couple parts that he was in, I was like, dude, you are out of your mind. You're insane, Goldmember. Just when the fact he has admitted, he's been stalking Dedra at the ISB office. Like, Jesus Christ, dude, get over yourself. They're not going anywhere. At least right now, I'm like, I don't think he's going anywhere with it. But she totally just straight up said, don't come back here. Keep away from me. I will throw you in prison. You son of a bitch. It just walks away. I couldn't help but laugh because I'm like, dude, this is so bad. It's so bad.
It's like, man, like you couldn't have like gone about it in like a creepier way. Like, dude, like we know like his like, I guess, social skills aren't like the best. I mean, we saw that in the third episode when he's addressing the men before they land on Ferrix, but yeah, here it's just like him, the way he's approaching Dedra to like thank her and stuff. It's like, dude, like that's not the way you do it. But at the same time, like they're both like psychopaths in their own way, and it seemed like she kind of dug it a little bit, like towards the end there. Like the whole dynamic was like very awkward and weird, and just like, I mean, these two assholes deserve each other kind of way.
I mean, I think that's kind of what could happen. That, I mean, I don't know. I really, it's like, I would laugh if it did, just because I'm like, oh my God, really? Like, I mean, it would still work for me, but it would be one of those things like, Jesus Christ, these lunatics. Yeah, like you said, they deserve each other.
This is the most horrible power couple you could think of.
Yeah, like I could feel like he could still be kind of redeemable, but after this episode with Bix, like Dedra, just seeing her really just calculating, cold-hearted nature with the torture and interrogations, like, man, you really are just pure evil. Like, the Emperor would love you. You could, you'd be one of his assistants.
Yeah, like we see, like now that she's in power, like we see how cruel she could be. Like we know that she's excellent at her job, and it seems like she's just thriving in this environment where she's just torturing and messing, like playing mind games with others. Like she's very much in her element, and this is like something we feared. Like we knew that she was very good and capable, but now that she is in that position, this just shows how dangerous she is.
Yeah, she's definitely a force to be reckoned with. But I like that in the couple of parts that her assistant was kind of keeping up / getting ahead of her. Like when they found that rebel pilot, he sent the doctor out there, and it's almost that look after that conversation with Cyril that she's kind of drained by Cyril's pursuit, but also like, what the fuck? Like, almost looking at her sister, like, who the fuck do you think you are? Like, you work for me. Like, don't try and get ahead of me, kind of thing. Like, she's in that power trip mode where she doesn't want anyone to try and succeed her at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she's trying to keep it. You know what I
Yeah, it's
mean?
like that next person that wants to climb the ladder, like it's like that's what it seems like goes on a lot inside the empire with the people like trying to do certain things to one up each other and like get one over on the other. It's like yeah, we're starting to see her being on the receiving end of that where before she can even give orders, someone's already taken upon themselves to do it. So it's like okay, like maybe this assistant does have good intentions, or more than likely it's just like he's trying to get ahead. It's like okay, what's it going to be this time?
I mean, her boss did tell her, you better watch your back now that you have some power, because essentially shit like that could happen when someone may try and succeed her and throw her under the bus. Um, I just thought those were some great scenes, but really, the prison one, man. I know I was kind of like mixed feelings about it last time, where I thought, oh, maybe it's not too bad, but no, this episode definitely solidified it is just a prison of hell. And I felt bad for the older guy, Olaf, where you could see throughout this episode every day he's medically and psychologically just getting worse. Like, he's almost like he's just not keeping up. He's not there all the time. I thought it was kind of like Alzheimer's or dementia or something for him. But like near the end, where they're all freaking about level 2 and they don't know what's going on, he collapses. I was like, oh shit, they worked him to death, and they kind of did. When that medic came around, he's like there's nothing to save. He had a massive stroke. Like he basically said he's a vegetable. Like there's nothing we can do or I can do for him. I won't. And man, they just, again, that part kind of got me. I was like, man, you just put this guy out of his misery. He was almost there. He was like a few days away from potentially being free. It was just hard. It was just sad. That's all I'm gonna say. Like, it was just so depressing to see this like happen. And then like in Kino, that was the first time I like so far we've seen Andy Serkis's character Kino really care about something. Like, he was there for the guy, even though he tried to kept saying like, let's just keep working, keep in line, we gotta focus on this. But you felt the pain in his eyes when he saw Olaf just kind of laying there like a vegetable. Like, it was just tough.
Just because you probably knew Olaf like the most out of everybody there on that on that floor that they were working on. And yeah, we know that Kino, like he's very much like that person that he's trying to get the people in line and trying to get them to output like a bunch, because he's operating under the belief that eventually he's gonna get out. So like, why not like try to make it like as easy on everyone as possible with them succeeding and building whatever it is that they're building. And it's like, but yeah, we just see what that type of environment, like what it does to people, when you're working 12-hour shifts and you're hustling the entire time because you're trying to beat every other table there on the floor so you don't get shocked at the end of the day. It's like, it's awful. It's an awful working environment. And like you said, that they've completely worked Olaf to death. Like the guy was only 40 more shifts away, like something like that. And he just couldn't make it. And it's like, yeah, like, that's just kind of what's going on, like in the prison system, or this particular prison system of the Empire, where it's just like you're working against each other, you're being pitted against one another, and you're dying before you can even make it out because of the work and like just how rigorous it is. Like it's just so messed up. So yeah, so when he's dying there, it's like, like you, man, it was tough. Like, this episode was a particularly tough watch because we're seeing good people suffer at the hands of the Empire. And I think that was definitely the point of this episode, is seeing like the cruelty that the Empire is inflicting now that they're taking this rebel threat seriously. Like, it's only going to get worse from here, it feels like.
Yeah, and I mean, the real kicker was when that medic kind of laid down, because they kept, even Kino asked what happened on level 2 with this whole episode. He didn't want to know shit about it, didn't care, telling everybody this is nonsense, it's, you guys just don't know what's going on, shut up. And the guy told him, oh yeah, they released a guy from 4, he ended back up on 2, and word got out, so they killed all of them off. It's like, so there really is, I mean, and I'm curious, I don't know if there is no getting out because that's how they've always done it, and maybe none of them have really been there long enough for it, or because of Aldani, are they just starting to recycle prisoners? And it's like, are you guys that stupid? You think that's gonna work? Like, come on. You guys get like, I mean, maybe it's just that ignorance of just what are they gonna do? We'll just melt him to death on the floor, essentially. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that's one of those things where it's like we don't know. I mean we don't really know how this prison operates. Like whether do they just cycle prisoners around and around on the different floors, hoping that they don't say anything? Because I can't imagine that a prisoner that gets out and then gets put back in like wouldn't say anything. Like they wouldn't like talk to the people there and be like, hey, I was supposed to get out, but now I'm back here. It's like it's one of those things. I think this probably would have happened before had that been the case. But again, we don't really know too much. It could just be that the fact that like after the Aldani heist and how they were cracking down on prison sentences, and how last week they mentioned everybody's sentence doubled because of it. Like maybe this is their new system that they're working on now. We're just gonna not let these guys out. We're just gonna cycle them through now and not let them out into the world. It's like either way, it's awful. It's an awful thing because there's no getting out whatsoever.
Yeah, like I was just like, you motherfuckers. But I like that their last moment with Kino and Andor. He's like, how many guards do they have on each floor? And he finally goes along with it, saying, "There's never more than 12." Like, yes, we got this. We got the hardest one on his side. Like, I love it. The rebellion. Let the rebellion begin in the prison. Such a great way to end it. And I know we kind of brushed over this, but Mon Mothma's storyline is also interesting too. I didn't realize Vel was her cousin, but that would kind of like it makes sense. That could be her reason why she goes full on rebellion. Like when we see her in the senators, I don't know what, I guess the old temple or whatever it was, like the Empire, where they all have the senators and stuff from the movies.
Yeah, I guess just the Senate floor, even though it's not a floor. It's a bunch of floating things, but yeah, the Senate floor, I guess.
But it's like people are turning off their lights and kind of not listening. It's like, fuck you guys. Like, this lady's trying to pitch something, but I mean, that's politics for you. If you don't agree with it, like, I ain't gonna listen to you, I guess. But I just see that she's starting to get more beaten down by everything. Like that scene. And then just, man, her husband sucks. I do not like that guy at all. Where he just kind of like, well, the way he was talking to Vel at the dinner table and they're all kind of gathered and stuff was like, oh, yeah, like you're not married, you might as well be a widow, because there's not a lot, there won't be much of you left. Kind of like you're not worth much anymore. It's like,
yeah.
I was just like, wow, really? Like she's sitting right in front of you. That's like telling Mon, like, listen, I gotta talk to you about your cousin Vel. I don't like her one bit. Yeah, she's right here. I'm not blind.
Yeah, I'm like,
that's just how it felt.
It's like, yeah, like, dude, like, you're just gonna straight up say that to someone? And something that we didn't talk about in last week's episode that was mentioned, that his marriage with Mon Mothma was an arranged marriage. They were married together at 15 years old. So we can see why now that their relationship is not one that's a healthy one, that by any stretch of the imagination. So it's like, yeah, there's a lot of tension between the two, and their kid too was a total jerk. Like at every point, like she's just always like back talking to Mom, like, Dad lets me do whatever I want to do. Like, oh, okay.
Like I said, man, when I first met her, I'm like, this chick is a little brat, and I can't stand it. If she gets taken away by the ISB, I'll just be like, yeah, well, just that's not just. Oh, that's unfortunate. Oh, poor baby.
Just, oh no, come back.
No, that's horrible. I shouldn't joke about, even though it's fiction, but I'm just saying this. She's a brat, but man, that one dude, Tay or something, Tacoma, whatever his name is, like the truck, I don't know. He had to find some, like he said, no, well, your account's gonna get flagged. However, if you get a loan from someone to cover that up, your accounts will be fine. Money may flow a little bit better. But the fact that he said the name was Skolvo or something. Anyways, it sounds like another gangster in Star Wars. And she's like, he's a thug. He's like, yeah, but he's the wealthiest one. Like he knows that you need something. So I already talked to him. And it's like, man, sounds like Mon's about to get in some really murky waters here. And I'm just curious to see how deep she goes what drives her into the rebellion. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I mean, we saw her after the Aldani heist happened. Like she sort of buckled a little bit. Like she was kind of put off by it. We see that she sort of like underestimates like what exactly it takes to actually go through it with a rebellion. Like she definitely has very strong morals, and it seems like her involvement in the rebellion, like that's gonna test her morals. Like we see like she doesn't want to, like she didn't, like she thought like this prison heist and killing a bunch of Imperials was a bad thing. Like she's gonna have to deal with that. Like now she's gonna have to deal with getting money from a criminal essentially. It's yeah, it's testing her at every front. And I feel like at the end of the day, it's going to make her the strong rebel leader that we see, in the original trilogy. So, like, that's sort of the journey that she has to go through it with, learning how to navigate this role, and, where to compromise and where not to compromise, and where you can maybe find other solutions. Like, it'll be interesting to see, like, where her character goes, within that, like, set path. So, that's going to be crazy. I have no idea like whether it's gonna be one of those things where she is like tries to find another way, or she just has to embrace this reality that to go against essentially the government, you have to work with people who are operating outside of that, which are always going to be like criminals or someone or people like deemed like like I guess deemed problematic, essentially by the government that you're trying to go against. So yeah, it's a tough position to be in, and we see in these last few episodes just how lonely that is for her. Like she is essentially on her own, and can't trust anyone outside of her childhood friend and Vel, who she only sees for maybe a few hours here. It's like she is truly alone, and that's kind of a tough spot for her to be in, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's all just, again, everybody's kind of suffering at the hand of the Empire in one form or another. Her husband's fully into the politics of the Empire, so she's kind of the outlier in that. Andor's in prison, suffering that. Bix is just guilty by association. Luthen, he was not at all in this episode, which I thought was interesting. So I'm curious to see what will happen with him. It was just, again, like I said, very tough episode to watch. Just mostly the prison stuff, and then Bix. Like, Bix was also just, she doesn't deserve any of that, and they're all just kind of in their own hell at the moment. But anything else popped out at you this episode, Bern?
Not really. Just I mean the again the awkward, horrible exchange between Cyril and his mother. Just awful. Oh, she's an awful human being. Like, and it's just so funny that there are conversations where she's just being terrible to him. It's like over a bowl of cereal. It's like it's the most childish looking thing ever. Yet she's like it works because like that's essentially how she's treating him. Like where she's like bad mouthing him. Oh, you don't do this and this. He's like, hey mom, I got a promotion. She's like, I knew they would see your like worth and stuff. It's like, God, you're such a manipulative a-hole. Like, I hate you. That actress is doing such a great job at being like an unbearable person.
Harry Potter actors are some of the best in the world.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I gotta say. But yeah, I mean, I kind of am starting to not feel bad for him anymore, just because he's really shown his insanity card at this point, and it's like you need to get off. You need to stop. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if that's the uncle, the thug or something that maybe I mean, I don't remember if they mentioned the uncle's name, but it makes sense. He hates him. Mon wants nothing to do with this guy, like this thug. So I don't know. I'm curious to see how everyone's gonna intertwine at a certain point. Mm-hmm. So
it is Uncle Marlowe, so it could. Yeah, I think it more than likely is a different person, unless his gangster name is like a fake name. then that'd be crazy. But no, yeah, I wouldn't imagine it's the same guy. But hey, that can always be a
that'd be a crazy twist. But yeah, other than that, guys, let us know in the comments. What did you like this episode? Were you heartbroken by it? Were you did you laugh at the Cyril Karn scene? I know I did. Like I said, we'd love to keep the conversation going, so I would love to see more comments from the people. Just don't be mean. But at the same time, opposite day. So I'm sure you guys are going to throw every insult you can. So whatever. That's the price I pay. And of course, guys, stay tuned for any other episodes coming up. We got God of War coming out. So we'll do a little campaign review / game of that. And again, Black Panther 2 Wakanda Forever comes out next week. So prepare for that non-spoiler, potential spoiler episode. And yeah, like I said, we're in the season of films now, so they just dropped another Avatar trailer, so I'm excited for that. But as always, guys, we appreciate your support. Keep staying tuned, And as always, stay bodacious and keep on rant for the both of us.
Yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. And as always, be good, be safe, and we'll catch y'all on the next one.